Thanks for joining me for this edition of the Church Security Answer Man. I'm so glad that you're here with me today, and we have a treat. We have a very special guest who has actually been through an incident at his church and working his group, his security plans through that process. So I don't want to waste a lot of time, so let's get right into it, and let's get Buddy in here. Buddy, can you hear me? Thanks for joining us, and thanks for discussing this incident. Now, this incident occurred at your church. I want to talk about the incident, and then we'll talk some about your situation. But this incident occurred, as I understand it, this last Sunday. Is that correct?
Yes, it is.
Okay. About what time did it start?
Around 8 o'clock in the morning, about 8:15 in that window.
And what was going on then? What were you folks doing? What was going on at the church?
That early in the morning, our worship team gets together and goes over the music for the day. And we had one of our moms was out on the playground with her children when everything took place. So everybody was inside and active with the worship team.
Okay. And what happened? Tell us about what happened.
She informed her husband that she's met a stranger that was on drugs. They were under the influence, and that he had given him a bomb threat for the playground. So he came running in looking for us. And I immediately had one of our team members call 911. I had someone else locked down, and then I went outside looking for the person and found him walking down the street.
Okay. So, and you'd already had somebody call 911.
Yes, one of our team members, that was the first thing that was done.
Okay, great. Go ahead.
When he was on the phone with 911, the lady that had experienced this fellow outside was standing beside him. So he was able to relay a lot of information to dispatch that had taken place. So everybody was aware of what was going on. It was very good timing.
Oh, great. Great. So then what happened?
We found him down the street, about a block down the street. He'd walked across the street into a parking lot where a policeman was sitting, which was kind of funny. And the officer had noticed that he didn't have any shoes on, so he was going to call in a suspicious person. And when he went to do that, that's when he got the report from dispatch about the bomb threat. And he stepped out of the vehicle, and the guy just kind of gave up, threw his hands up in the air and gave up.
Okay. Well, that's great. And I talked about this incident on our last podcast, and there's just so many good things. And then I didn't realize that you actually kept the witness with the person that was calling 911. That's a great, so that they could get the details right there and relay that. But I just think this is what a great textbook case for the fact that you protected your church. And then, as I'd mentioned before, it's Twip City, right, in Ohio?
Tip City,
that's right. And then you're also not only protecting your church, but you're helping protect the community by alerting them to this guy that's walking around with a gun. And then you're also letting the police know, it sounds like, right before they're contacting him. So many good things coming out of this situation. So anything else about this that you want to share?
Well, once we got everything settled and the officer showed up, and we did a search of the playground where they were at and where the bomb was supposed to be, found nothing. I had already done a search there and didn't see anything, but obviously they did their job. And we found nothing. The suspect was taken to the hospital and later to jail. After the dust settled, I got thinking about what we did wrong. And one of the things is we didn't lock one of the doors. And so I immediately made a change on that. One of the other things that wasn't covering the safety for the church was I was inside with the music team practicing. And so we've enlisted someone to come here and be here early in the morning to cover that time frame when I'm inside. And so we have coverage, so we have presence in the parking lot. Those were two of the changes that we made immediately.
So bringing somebody else in earlier and then having them walk around the outside is what you're going to be doing?
Correct. We have someone during the worship service that does that anyway. And so prior to worship, we're going to have someone doing the same thing.
Yeah. Yeah, and we've talked about that recently, that actually I think the Bureau of Justice statistics say that actually about 67% of church incidents that occur are occurring outside in our parking lots. So of these major incidents, and obviously here outside in the playground area. So that's awesome. And I think it sounds like you folks did a great job to me and in handling this situation. So, but that sounds like a great improvement just based on circumstances to me. So,
Thank you.
anything else that you're looking to try to improve, or I mean, it sounds great to me.
Well, I talked to the pastor and pastors this week about the situation, and they were happy with the way things that went. And those are the two improvements that we're going to make right now. This is always it's a work in progress continually.
Oh yeah, for all of us, for sure, for all of us. Now you said you had missed one door, and as I understood it from talking to you last week, yeah, during the lockdown, you had about 5 doors you were supposed to lock. Is that what it was?
Yes, we have 5 doors to lock, and we missed one of them. It's access from the church to the playground, and
Oh, gotcha.
we missed that door, which was critical.
Yeah, yeah. Well, there's always room for improvement, certainly. So, now what have you, as I understand it, your team would be kind of official. Is that it for about the last year? Is that what I understood from you?
Yes, yes.
Okay. And what have you been doing to prepare your team? Obviously, I don't want to talk about numbers in your team and who's armed and who's not. I don't want to make the church a softer target, but what have you been doing? It's kind of a struggle sometimes for all of us to get training and do that. What kind of things have you been doing to prep your security folks?
Well, you mentioned it being a struggle, and it is hard to get everybody together at the same time to get them all focused on training. And so what I do is I use your website, your YouTube page for a huge resource. And when I see trends, I'd meet with them individually and share with them the trends because everybody has a different responsibility and they need to respond differently. And our main goal is the parking lot, is that we don't want anything getting in the building. And so I do training several times a month, just walk in, spend a couple minutes with each individual of what their role is. And it seems to be working real well.
Perfect. Perfect. So just challenging their minds and that kind of stuff is that's a great tool to use for sure. So, and now, so the training's a challenge for you. Is there any other challenges that you've been coming up against? It sounds like you have a very supportive pastoral staff of having this security team. Are there any other challenges?
The biggest challenge is getting enough members on the team, on the safety team. We're using guest services as a title and all our name badges to soften the impression of who we are.
Yeah.
We want to be friendly, shaking hands, kissing babies type of a situation, but being observant with everything that we do. So doing that, hopefully we can get some more people on board because right now we have people that are serving continually in places. They need to rotate so they can join the worship service and be with their families also. So right now that's what we're focused on, and it's a difficult challenge.
Oh, for sure. I think that's a challenge. That's a challenge at my church. I think it's a challenge for a lot of us is having enough people because you're people who have a servant's heart and are willing to serve are serving on other things as well. So
Right.
in other sections, so you can't really steal them. And we've even come up with a system. We've got a couple of folks that one does something early in the service and one does something later in the service. So we actually have them given assignments for half of the time period, and they just switch so that they can go do their other duties. So it is definitely a huge challenge. Well, Buddy, and speaking of challenges, we had a little trouble getting the video on, so we've got Buddy's picture here today. So I sure appreciate you joining us. Is there anything else that you can think of that would help us share just from your circumstances or your situation?
Well, I'll just share with you how we got started. I've
Okay.
been here about 3 years, but I retired, so I've been doing the safety thing for about a year. Had a huge resource from someone who was very detail oriented, and they had about a 3-inch binder of information that I was able to glean from and narrow things down to where it's about a 15-page booklet now. And
Nice.
it's detailed, and I'm so thankful that we had that person here to do that. Just keep it simple, and
Yeah.
make sure that your doors are locked, and make sure you're watching the parking lot. That's your first line of defense, is just having a presence there in the parking lot.
Yeah, for sure. Now, you talked about getting started. How did the team actually start? Was it a suggestion from pastor, or was that you going to the pastor, or how did that happen?
I don't know exactly how they got started because I came to the church later on.
Okay.
Um, the head of our security has got a full plate and he can't do it. I have some security background, and so offered to help him. And so I just took charge, passed everything off to him, and he signed off on it. But it's just been a challenge, like it is at any church, to get this going. You need somebody that has a passion for it and someone's committed to get it done. And without that passion, it's not going to work.
Yeah, for sure. For sure. Well, thanks, buddy, for sharing. I appreciate it. And I know our community is going to appreciate it as well. So, as always, I want to remind you that down in the comments section, we've got links. You can go to the churchsecurityanswerman.com for more information, or check out the links below for training and other resources for you that are basically our way to try to help you with some of these. And as Buddy mentioned, we've got all of our vlogs, our videos on the YouTube page as well, right here, that you can use. Sit your people down if you can, and maybe put it up on a TV screen or a LCD projector and show them some of these videos for some training, or just send them a link to what you want them to watch. So thanks again, buddy, for joining us. Thank you for everybody who's watching us as well. I appreciate you. And take a look at this video that's popping up on your screen for the next thing that I think that you should watch relative to this topic.